what's your advice to entrepreneurs who are struggling just to keep their head above water here, with and especially in really hard hit industries like hospitality or high touch industries?
It is an incredibly difficult time. I think the first thing to keep in mind is nobody in the world has seen anything like this, right? Because the last time the world was faced with a situation this deep, this grave, this global, this sudden was, over 100 years ago. And so nobody actually has experience, as Deepak said, nobody has the playbook of how to deal with this. I would say, look, I think it's important to map out actually the first point we made was map out a set of scenarios, right? If India stays, let's say, if demand takes a long time to recover, we might have multiple open and shut sort of, multiple lockdown scenarios in India, depending on how COVID-19 progresses. It might recover slightly faster. Map out different scenarios depending on the industry that you're in. And the most important thing is to be able to make sure that you can survive, right? And in many ways, if you're a startup, survival really boils down to one thing. It is cash runway. Right? If demand is going to be if revenue is going to be zero or going to be muted for a long period of time, how long can you last, right? And to extend. So what I would say the most important piece of advice we were giving our founders 7-8 weeks ago. I mean, as Sequoia, we were quite early in as a firm. We were fortunate to have seen this. I mean, I don't know. Some of you may have read the Black Swan, COVID-19, the Black Swan of 2020. Blog that Sequoia, our US partners put out, was basically cash runway, right? Is how do you extend your cash runway? So if you have 6 months of cash runway, how do you extend that to 12 or 15 months? If you have 12 months, how do you extend it to 24 months? We think having 24 months of cash runway is sort of when you can start feeling, that you have enough cash runway to kind of make it through, right? Most startups actually don't have that kind of cash runway. So the question is, how do you extend your runway? I mean, I think you've got to really be very, very prudent about cost, right? If you're especially in a deeply impacted industry, right? You've got to look at every single line item of cost. I mean, I can't tell you, even if unless you're in a handful of sectors that is seeing a lot of tailwind, right? Sectors like edutech, like let's say digital health, like online grocery or direct to consumer brands. In every other industry, demand is going to be deeply impacted for a long period to come, right? So you've got to make sure that you're being very decisive with your actions. And then I would say, but if you're a very early stage company that is, let's say, in the international travel space, and you have no runway left, let's say you have 30 days or 60 days of cash runway left, you should seriously think about pivoting radically into a different space, because it is unlikely that international travel will come back anytime soon. Right, and as a let's say as a very early stage startup, you have also the luxury of being able to pivot radically, right? Obviously, if you're a late stage company, you're public, or you've raised billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars, you may not have that luxury because you have a large team, you have an operating business model to be able to pivot dramatically, right? But maybe we'll see even some of those happen, right? But if you're an early stage company, I think you do have that luxury, right? So you may be better off doing that than hoping that international travel is going to recover quickly, because as you know, Seema, you and I both know, hope is not a strategy.
Well said.